Okay guys, now because of the growing number of videos in my queue that I want to make and the increasingly short amount of time I have to actually shoot these videos, I've decided to forego the Kastking versus Kastking on the water impressions battle and just go straight into the measured field battle against the Daiwas and just basically combine them into one video and kill two birds with one stone. Now this gives us a chance to do what everyone loves, is to put one brand against the other, kind of like Chevy versus Ford. Now in the on the water impressions video with the Daiwas, the CT Type R seemed to cast the heavier lure farther than the 100, but the 100 seemed to cast a lighter lure farther than the Type R, which is kind of strange considering the spool weights. Now I've never actually casted either of the Kastkings yet, so it's going to be pretty interesting to see the results here. Now on paper, the Assassin, which is the cheapest reel here, should win this battle pretty easily because it's got the lightest spool by far, as well as the dual braking system, which allows fine tuning. Now this also gives us a chance to put Daiwa's MagForce Z up against a basic MagTrax style braking system, because these two reels have virtually the same weight spools, but I know their line capacities are different. So what I'm going to do before we get out on the field is I'm going to weigh these spools without line, or I should say with line. Okay guys, so we got all the spools out, and we're going to start off by weighing the Kastking Assassin spool, which is the lightest spool here by far. It weighed 12.2 grams without the bearing, but it's also probably got the most line capacity as well. So it went from 12.2 grams to 26.7. So without the bearing, you're probably looking at about 25.5 grams for the Kastking Assassin. Okay, so the Royal Legend Elite had a 15 gram spool without the bearing. The bearing is 1.5 grams, so you're looking at about almost 28.5 grams. So you're looking at a 27 gram spool when filled with line without the bearing. Okay, so the Daiwa Tatula CT Type R has a 15 gram spool. There's no bearing, and you're looking at 25.8. So that's actually, let me see here. Yep, so this is lighter. This Tatula Type R spool is lighter than the Royal Legend Elite spool when filled with line by about a gram, it looks like, or maybe 2 grams. 25.8 and 27. Yeah, so a little bit over a gram lighter for the Tatula Type R, because this has a deeper spool that holds more line. Okay, so now it's time for the Tatula 100, which has the heaviest spool here, disappointingly. And this is 27.5 grams. So that's still, yeah, that's gonna be the heaviest spool here by half a gram. So all these weigh within a couple of grams of each other because of the different line capacities. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens out on the field. Okay guys, up next we have the brand new Tatula 100. I have spool tension set just like it came from Daiwa, the 0 adjuster. And the lowest I could go on the MagForce looks to be 7. So here we go. (156 feet 9 inches). 164 feet 2 inches. 164 feet 3 inches. 166 feet 5 inches. 159 feet 2 inches. Okay guys, so first up we have the Kastking Royal Legend Elite. I have the spool tension set to just minimize the side-to-side play, and the external brake setting set to 5. And we are of course throwing the 3/8 ounce casting plug. So here we go. Whew. 171 feet 11 inches. 174 feet 6 inches. 177 feet 9 inches. 167 feet 8 inches. 170 feet 10 inches. Okay guys, up next we have the Tatulas CT Type R. I have the spool tension set to just minimize the side-to-side play, and the mag dial is on 8. So here we go. $163 feet 6 inches. 173 feet 3 inches. 161 feet even. 169 feet 6 inches. 169 feet 3 inches. In case you were wondering what happened to the Kastking Assassin, unfortunately during practice I blew the spool up on this reel so bad that I couldn't pick the backlash out, and unfortunately I didn't bring any kind of tools to be able to cut the line out either so I could re-spool. So I know it's kind of anticlimactic seeing as the Assassin was, my favorite to win this, given the advantages this thing had over the other reels. But as it stands, you're looking at a default last place for the Kastking Assassin. Now more on this reel later. Okay, now let's get to the results of the remaining reels. And before I do that, I'm going to put up the numbers for the CURADO DC and the CURADO K that went through this exact same test a few weeks ago. Alright, so coming in third place is the Daiwa Tatula 100. And this thing averaged 162.2 feet. And let me tell you how it got there. Now, originally I told you guys that the lowest I could go on the MagForce dial was 7, which was true. But what was happening with the dial on 7 was that during the beginning of the cast, there was a lot of fluffing going on that cleared itself out towards the middle and tail end of the cast. So what I did was I decided to turn the MagForce dial up to 8. And what happened was that instantly cleared up the fluffing, and as a result the distances went up by a good 7 to 10 feet. Easy. But that still wasn't enough to beat these other two reels. And for those of you who keep asking me in the comments, Tatula or CURADO K, as you can see by the numbers, the CURADO K easily stomped on the Tatula 100 by a good 10 yards or over 30 feet. Now, of course, these weren't tested on the same day, but there's no way that the Tatula 100 is going to make up a 10-yard deficit on that mighty CURADO K. So I'm going to set this off to the side for a moment, and we're going to get down to the last two reels. The Royal Legend Elite from the upstart Kastking versus the Tatula CT Type R from a very well established and very well respected company, Daiwa. So this is a very interesting contest in the fact that both of these reels have spool weights within a gram of each other when filled with line, same dimensions, same magnetic brakes, except the Tatula has the alleged advantage of MagForce Z, and of course it's got the T-wing line guide, and it has upgraded spool bearings, while the Kastking has the standard MagTrax style Korean braking. So it comes as a big surprise that the Tatula CT Type R comes in second place, triggering a lot of butthurt fanboys in the process, with an average of 167.4 feet. And let me tell you how we got to that result. Now initially, during the practice casting and pre-measurements, the Type R was hitting the low 150s, about the same as the 100. And that really bothered me because I knew in my heart this thing could do better. And then I realized that I didn't adjust the spool tension. So when I checked the spool tension, this is what I heard. Let me let you guys listen. I heard a lot of side-to-side movement. So what I did was I tightened up spool tension just to eliminate that side-to-side movement. And because of that, I believe I was able to go down on the MagForce by maybe 1 and instantly gained between 10 and 15 feet for the Tatula Type R. So in the battle of the Tatulas, just as expected, the Type R beats out the 100 by an average of about 5 feet, at least for this particular test. Okay, so that leaves us with the surprise winner, and I thought this thing was going to come in last place, to be honest. That is the Kastking Royal Legend Elite. And this thing averaged 172.4 feet. and it was the most consistent, hitting pretty much almost all its casts in the 170 foot range. Now, one thing that Kastking, I believe, should have done, and I mentioned this in the unboxing of this reel, was giving this thing more fine tuning. As it stands, you only get 10 clicks to adjust the magnetic brakes, but if they would have given us 20 clicks, then I could have probably eked out a little bit more distance out of this thing. Not much more, but still, it was enough to dispatch of the 2 Daiwas. And more about this reel later as well. So let's talk about the Assassin. Okay, so Kastking Assassin. Now, something about this reel, I could not get comfortable casting it. The casting ergonomics were bad for me. And a lot of that has to do with the thumb bar. The thumb bar feels really, really hollow and cheap, and I couldn't get a good grip on it. Now, when I cast, especially for long distance, I put a lot of pressure on the thumb bar. And yeah, this threw me off in casting. And of the casts that I was able to complete before the spool blew up, the distances that I saw, they weren't going to beat these other reels. And that's very disappointing considering the advantages. Now, the brakes were loud and they seemed kind of weak. And I brought out the Phantom to illustrate a point here. Now, these 2 reels are, I would say, 95% the same reel. Meaning they weigh the same, they have a lot of the same components, they have the same braking system and same spool, although different colors. But let me show you what I found out. Now, it's been a while since I've casted the Phantom, but from what I remember, it had a very good braking system. It was a little loud, but it was very good nonetheless. It responded well to adjustments and fine tuning. Now, this Assassin, even the centrifugal brakes felt weak. And that kind of puzzled me because they're supposed to have the same brakes as the Phantom. So let me show you what I found out. Of course, the spools on these 2 reels are exactly the same measurements, same diameter, same weight. But somehow the Assassin had a somewhat lighter spool despite supposedly having the same centrifugal brakes attached. But let me show you this. So the centrifugal brakes on the Assassin are these white little tabs that fly out during the cast, and of course rub on this ring here and create friction to slow the spool down. So why were they so weak on the Assassin versus the Phantom? And the answer is solved just by looking at the centrifugal brakes on the Phantom. As you can see, the brake arms are much bigger and they have a lot more surface area in order to slow the spool down. And I think that's why the spool weight on the Assassin was just a couple of tenths of a gram lighter than the Phantom. But also the Phantom feels like a much better made reel to me. The thumb bar doesn't give me the same cheap feeling as the Kastking. Now, both reels are really light, but this doesn't feel quite as hollow as the Assassin. So I'm not trying to knock the Assassin, and for all you guys who own an Assassin and are happy with it, that's great. But its shortcomings become very apparent when you're sitting there casting side by side with the likes of, Daiwa Tatulas. Okay, so let's talk about the Royal Legend Elite now. Okay, so talking about the Royal Legend Elite, the winner of this contest. Now, I've never casted the Royal Legend Elite, much less any Kastking before, so I didn't know what to expect when casting this reel. Now, it turns out this reel, when casting and retrieving that plug, it feels like a reel made by a mainstream manufacturer. And there's a good reason for that. Now, a couple of subscribers pointed out to me that this reel is a copy, a replica of I believe they call it the Banax Titanic. So if you guys don't know who Banax is or are, they are a Korean factory that makes the reels for companies like Quantum and Okuma and I believe 13 Fishing. So basically this reel felt on par with those reels, which is pretty good considering the price and the fact that Kastking is not considered a mainstream manufacturer, at least for now. So if Kastking is using Banax now instead of whatever factory they were using, I'm not sure who makes the Assassin or Kastking's other reels. It may be Haibo, which is a Chinese company, a Chinese factory. But if they are upping their game and starting to use Banax for all their future reels, that's going to be a big step up in quality and refinement for Kastking. So like I said, these are the only two Kastkings I've ever casted or even laid hands on, so I'm not sure how the Speed Demon feels or the Spartacus or whatever other reels they have, but I'm very impressed with the Royal Legend Elite, not so much the Kastking Assassin. Okay guys, once again the Royal Legend Elite comes out as the winner. Thanks a lot.